My name is Deborah Hendrix, and I'm with the Samuel Proctor Oral History Program at the University of Florida. And today's date is May 27th, 2023, and we are at the Florida Folk Festival here at Stephen Foster State Park in White Springs, Florida. And today we will be talking with Donald and I'm sorry, I forgot your
Rosie.
And Rosie, Donald and Rosie Forgione. Mm-hmm. And also we have
Sarah Berger.
Okay, we have Sarah Berger, okay, from also a student at the University of Florida. So generally we start out with just asking where and when you were born. So whoever wants to
I was born in Memphis, Tennessee in 1962.
Okay.
And I was born in Long Island, New York in 1962.
Okay. Now, when you were growing up, did you grow up where you were born? Or
We both grew up in Florida, in Palm Beach County, and we went to first grade through 12th grade in Palm Beach County.
Okay.
We're high school sweethearts.
Well, today we're talking about the Florida Folk Festival. So these are some of the questions that we've been requested to ask today. And first of all, we'll ask, how did you first hear about the Florida Folk Festival?
Well, there's a legend in the Florida Folk Festival, two of them, and that's Frank and Ann Thomas. And actually, the River Gazebo is named after Frank and Ann Thomas. He's a state of Florida award-winning artist. He's awesome. His name is right before you go in the governor's office on the right. An award that they give out. I wish I could tell you the name. Can't really think of it right now. Oh, Hall of Fame. It's Florida Artist Hall of Fame. So he was inducted, and the day he was inducted, Gloria Estefan was inducted, and several others. So he's a big deal, but I didn't know it. I was a park ranger helping another state park park cars for a festival in Sebring, Florida, at Highlands Hammock State Park. And Frank and Ann and their young son hop out of a car, and they get all their instruments, and they start walking. And I thought, boy, that looks like a peculiar group. Just how they all piled out, and she had a big upright bass, and it was a little Toyota. So everybody and things kept coming out of the car, and I'm thinking the car's not that big. So it was about break time for me. So I went and tracked them down and listened to them. And I listened to them, and they were wonderful. And afterwards, I went up to them. I said, "That's wonderful, blah, blah, blah." And I didn't know there was a genre called Florida folk. Had no idea. So I said, "I have a couple songs that I've never played for anybody but my family."
Right.
Because they're about Florida.
Yeah.
So he handed me the guitar, and he goes, "Play me one." So I played him one. And he goes, "I'd like for you to come to the Florida Folk Festival." And so he invited me to play on now his stage, the River Gazebo, mm-hmm. In about 1990. And my wife and our three kids were there, and it was a lot of fun.
It was.
I'm assuming that was your first.
It was.
That was our first.
Our first time here, yeah. And we really had a great weekend. And the music was amazing. And, it's just incredible. All the musicians and people's, the messages that they bring out in their songs. Some political, some just fun, but it's great. And, a couple of his songs, they're fun. And some of the folk people in the community all like, "Can I play that song?" It's fun. It's a fun thing.
Well, let me back up just a second. And so you were a musician,
Yeah.
even working as a park ranger.
Yes, I happen to have both roles, right? So.
Okay. Because one of the questions here is they want to know how did it feel your first performance at the Florida Folk Festival? Can you remember that time?
Yeah, well, I played with two other people, Cliff Maxwell, who will be interviewed at 12, I believe, and a guy named Craig Blocker. And so the three of us played because they're my buddies, so I called them up and I said, we've been invited to the festival. So we went, and I had no idea. The significance of it, and then you play it, and I'm on the Suwannee River. I'm playing Florida music, and the river is right behind me on the gazebo. And I don't know, it's like, I can't believe it. This is crazy. And there's so many people in the audience. And the songs I've never really played for anyone. So for them to get, they appreciate it. And since I'm a park ranger, my songs are about environment and history. So they're, I'm telling a story or telling a thing, and that resonates with a lot of people. And
Yeah.
it was pretty cool. And then seeing my family out there, because this is the first time I ever performed anywhere. I'm a park ranger.
So ever since, have you been performing every year? Or
Yeah, well, on and off, because now that you become into it, you have responsibilities, you want to help. So some years is easier to play than others because of all the work and stuff that we do here behind the scenes. But in our campsite, every evening we play music. So that's fun. Still to this day.
Well, this kind of segues into the next question about the Florida Folk Festival community. Is there a community?
Yes.
Yeah. Yes.
Definitely yes.
Yeah, there's a huge community, and it's statewide. And actually, it's not only statewide; it billows out to other states as well, because the Florida Folk Festival is such a significant festival in folk music. Why, I'm not sure. I want to say because it's Florida and we're terrific, but I don't know the science behind it. But there are people from all over the United States, and like a fiddle player from Colorado yesterday, she said, "Oh, I heard about the festival." She came, and then the musician that's playing heard her play in the campground and said, "Do you want to play with me on stage tomorrow?" And she goes, "Yeah." And then I emceed the stage, and how did she get here? So it's pretty special. The community also is very loving. I don't want to get hippie on you, but it's very loving. Very everybody takes care of each other, and if you're in one band, there's no competition, because in the music industry, there is some competition, especially if you're a gigging musician. You want to gig, you want to make sure you get that gig and keep that gig. And if someone else gets your job, it's your job. And but this is a little different. I can play with me alone. I can play with a band, and then someone else goes, "You want to sit in?" And you could easily, at the festival, play with 5 different bands just through the course of being here. And it's very organic and very loving. It's cool. It's the Florida Folk Festival.
So this is 71 years.
Yeah.
Yes.
Now, let me just, I'd like to know the answer to this question. You've been coming several years now.
Yeah. This is my 33rd, I think.
33rd year. So have you seen any kind of trends or changes over that time?
I think the only thing I see is the musicians are getting better, in my opinion. I mean, there's some of these young people, and they play. It's like, oh my gosh, I can't believe it. And I think maybe I often think why. Why are they getting better? I just think they maybe have more access to instruments and technology to teach them, but they're exceptional. And then the quality of instruments and the diversity. It's cool because Florida Folk Festival. It's not an Appalachian geared festival. We're in Florida. So there's one of everybody from one of everywhere. And so if you're in a genre, if you play mostly, like say, bluegrass, and before you go on, the Haitian band is there, you pick up a couple of licks from the Haitian band, and vice versa. And before you know it, this beautiful community of, of United Nations are playing music. And I think we all feed on each other, because musicians are a little special anyway, in that there's no black, white, and there's no nationality. We just play music.
Yeah, music is a language. It's a language of love, in my opinion.
Yeah.
So it's a very loving community. It's like, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, let me ask you, Rosie, are you a musician? Do you play any?
No, I'm not. But I'm a groupie.
She is. She's the best groupie. And in the musician's spouse and family, it's a lot. It's a lot to carry. And I play several instruments, and so
his main is drums, and it's a lot.
Yeah, and so you end up playing. One kid's playing the guitar, and it's bigger than he is, and he's my son, and he's walking down the trail, and you're holding this, and I'm holding that. Because during the set, you play multiple. Sometimes you're in and out different instruments, and it's fun.
It is. It's fun.
I hope it's fun for you.
Oh, I love it. I love it. I sing along.
That's right.
So yeah.
So is this a family affair, by the way? You have kids?
Yeah. So yeah, our children have been coming with us, obviously from the beginning, and then when they start having families of their own, we invite them back to come and camp with us while we're here. But it's not regular. It's
because they got their own lives.
Yeah.
But we have had our grandkids, kids, grandkids, sister, brother, mom, nieces, nephews. It is
definitely a family.
It's a family affair. Yes.
Do you this last 3 days? Is it normally 3 days?
Mm-hmm. Friday, Saturday, Sunday.
So do y'all stay the whole?
The whole time.
Get here Thursday and leave on Monday.
Yeah.
So cool. Let me ask one question before I go into Kim's questions here. Is where you mentioned briefly about picking up some licks from a Haitian band, right? And what is the diversity? What do you see a lot of diversity in?
Well, there's more diversity in performers than there are goers, visitors. We wish there was more diversity in the people who are coming, the audience.
The audience.
But the diversity is definitely there in the musician side, which eventually will lead to, and there is some, but just kind of how it is.
And I know that the folk festival aims towards having a diverse groups of people. So sometimes they kind of try to pick a theme. So they'll have 1 year it might be Haitians, another year maybe African Americans, another year Filipinos. I'm not sure exactly, but I know that they try to bring in so that the audience has a diverse thing to look at. So every year is different. They try to make it
That's right.
entertaining and
we celebrate, so we try to celebrate something. And it could be not even nationality, it could be a subculture of Florida, such as Appalachia oyster catcher.
Yeah.
So that was a couple years ago.
they highlight, yeah.
So folks from Appalachia were here and demonstrating how to get oysters. And so the folk festival is not a music festival. It's a festival about
Culture.
folk, which is the people of Florida. So it's foodways, it's dance, it's crafts, it's working. How do you do it? How do you do that job in Florida? Because it's different than other places. There's some similarities. So they bring in these experts to come and say, this is how we shrimp in Florida, or oyster in Florida, or whatever, or run cows in Florida. So this is how we do it, and it's demonstrated through that craft or that art or that your profession. And then the music, it just kind of layers, it weaves through the whole festival. But the Florida Folk Festival is a true festival on the folk of Florida in every aspect.
I remember one year they had the engines.
Oh yeah.
It was so cool because you could go and they had different ways with coal and wood and gasoline and diesel, and you could see how the motors and the gears, I mean, from old time, old time ago.
Yeah.
And the guys, and they put on their overalls, their big overalls. It was just so much. It's such
fun.
The oyster, the year that they had the oysters, I mean.
That was good. They were shucking oysters.
Shucking oysters.
Right.
Out.
With hot salsa and cracker. We stood at that little booth for a while.
Yeah. They just really, and they highlight it, which is really wonderful. Things that you don't get to see. You have to go to museums to see some of these things.
Lost art.
Yeah.
One, two.
Crafts that are here and even in the park itself, just walking in this morning and they're doing the weaving of the palmetto.
Yeah.
It's pretty cool.
Because the weaving of the palmetto or a long leaf pine tree needle basket.
Those are lost art.
If we don't share how to make it, it's gone.
Yeah.
Only thing you have left is here's someone weaved this in 1800, and you stare at it. If that's all we got, I appreciate it. But wouldn't it be cool if there was an organization, a festival, that can teach someone how to make a longleaf pine basket and how to make a palmetto hat? And that's what goes on here.
Yeah.
And the music is just almost the background of that folkways, of our folkways of Florida. I often think that it'd be cool that if you come through, if you move to Florida, you get a punch card, and one of the requirements is to come to the Florida Folk Festival.
So how far away do you think people come just for the folk festival?
Well, my niece, who is an exceptional artist, Ariana Hall, currently lives in Los Angeles, California, and flies here and with her own money to play at the Florida Folk Festival because she's from Florida, and that's the importance of that. And isn't that cool, right? And then we get to see her once a year when she plays. She's not playing this year, but when she does play, that's when we get to see her because it's a long way off. Mm-hmm. So I think they come from all over. I mean, from Escambia County to Nassau down to Monroe. There's people from everywhere, all across Florida.
Yeah. That's one of the questions I was going to ask is what is the Florida Folk Festival? That was a great explanation.
Yeah.
It's not just music. I think people generally assume that it is literally a music festival.
Yeah, I think the subtitle it says Florida Folk Festival, and I'm not sure, but I think it says music, dance, and traditions, which is, down the old marble stage, there's which is the original stage. Now there's 12 stages, and that was the original stage, one stage. And so the African American churches in the local area all come. So you're eating, smoked mullet that they're making right there. You're eating sweet potato pie. You're having a mess of collard greens. You're having some cool stuff that we don't miss a festival without going down there. And you go, and there's, a dozen churches all
under this cook shed.
Under this cook shed, and they're all, they're all local African American churches, and you can actually taste 12 different collard greens. They're all different. That's cool, right? That's Florida.
That's Florida. So this sounds like a really good thing to highlight in view of what the rest of the United States thinks of Florida right now.
Oh yeah, it drives me crazy when someone goes, they think we're beach, and and tourists or something, which of course we appreciate that. But
Yeah.
and the northern Florida is more like southern Georgia, right? In landscape and in people, but that's not Florida. And then South Florida is they're different, and that's not Florida. It's together we're all Florida.
Yeah. I say we're a melting pot of
We
the
are.
United States because we have one of everybody here.
Well, let's go. What kind of songs do you sing? I mean, what if you had? Is it a genre, or do you?
Well, I think that so my Florida folk music is Florida. It is Florida folk, so it's a subgenre of folk music, Florida folk, and that's just songs and people. It's songs about environment and people. So I have a song called it's about a black bear, and so here's an example. I sing a song about a black bear, okay? And this little black bear, his mom and dad are there, and the little black bear's in the woods, and his mom says, we got to move, and so to get more food, and so they tromp through, and they do, and when they come back, there's a mall being built. And, but you don't see that coming in the song. It's about the bear life, right? Mm-hmm. And when he comes back, the mall is there, the parking lot, and it just makes you think. Like, so I put a human twist on the animal. And so one time someone came up to me and she was almost crying, and she goes, tell me what happened to the bear. And I said, it's just a song. And she goes, no, what happened to the bear? And so for her benefit, I said, because I'm not sure what happened to the bear. That's another verse. I don't, it's not written. But I want to say this, is that what happened, because of Florida State Parks, is that it turned around and lives in a Florida State Park, because that's where everything is preserved and is still the real Florida. So there are still these islands of environment that we can have a large mammal like the Florida black bear.
Or the panther.
Or the panther. That these sacred places that we have, and it's wonderful. So yeah, it touches people. You go, huh, and you think. That's what's cool about the music too. A lot of my songs don't solve any problems. It just makes you think. Because someone smarter than me needs to solve it.
So we have a question here about your camping, and who is the best cooks in your camp?
Well, I do all the cooking. So.
That's why I'm like, she is a chef.
He says that. I'm not licensed as a chef. I just enjoy cooking, and I enjoy eating, so it works well together. But I do like flavors, and I'm pretty good. I'm not gonna say, I'm not trying to brag, but I'm a pretty good cook.
Yeah. So the staff, we have our own camping area.
Yeah.
That we have because
the park people.
Yeah, because staff's coming in and out. We're working different shifts, and we are stacked in like carnies. So like we have a camper, but the awning doesn't go out because the other camper is right up on us, and you have to do that. And then our shifts, sometimes there's not a lot of time to cook, because you're doing a shift. So as a Florida Park Service employee or retiree, the festival's a little different. But what is neat is you go, what we call the back porch of our little area, that's where we hang out. There's a campfire and we play music at night. Someone always has something to eat and drink.
Yeah.
So like, for instance, we woke up and said, oh, we got to be here for the interview. Should I make a cup of coffee? And I go, no, let's just go to the back. Someone's got coffee.
Got coffee on the back porch.
And you just go in and get coffee. So we help each other out, because we're serving. We're continuing to serve the festival.
Okay, that's but let me take that one step further. What is your favorite thing to cook at the camp?
Well, I really don't. So when we do like potlucks, people bring a little something, so everybody shares. And we've had it where for the park people, we've had where they have like breakfast casseroles. Everybody contributes. You'd put some money into a fund so that it pays for that. And but you can get these wonderful casseroles. But for right now, they've kind of everybody's kind of doing their own thing. So because of the time that we're here, and we don't spend a whole lot of time at our campsites. We're actually out and about in the music and working. I do pre-cooked food, so I bring in stuff, so it's not really the same as cooking. But yeah, but it's wonderful. I mean, when I do cook, it'd be something like hamburgers. It would be maybe steak, could be shrimp.
Yeah, so it could be anything.
Just easy stuff on the grill. Stuff.
There's an association that I'm proud to be the president of currently, and that's the Florida Park Service Ranger Association. And it's a benevolent association, support organization to current and former employees with the Florida Park Service. Because of our expertise in the association and our experience, we do a lot of things here at the festival. So, and now I'm retired, and you know, it's great to continue giving back, because my retired job and when I worked job, it just continues to flow. And so you can't, once you get it, you can't get rid of it. Once you get the Florida Folk Festival rash, there's no salve to cure it.
So we also have a question here. It kind of goes along with this, but what is a typical day for you like at the festival?
How about your day?
Well,
like today?
Okay, so we slept in, which is rare, but we were able to sleep in a little, and then get up, you get dressed, and you go out and hang out on the back porch where we are. So it's our group of people, and get our coffee and sit and talk. And we were there for about 30 minutes or so, and then we moseyed on over this way. And so after we're finished here, we'll probably go listen to some music at one of the venues. And then I have a volunteer time. I'll be at the information booth. So I'll be there for 5 hours. And then in the evening, when my shift ends, I'll be able to sit down on the amphitheater stage. You know, I have to sit and watch the people on the stage tonight. So it's just a wonderful day. It starts early usually. This morning I said it slept in, but about 8 o'clock, I was sleeping in for us and got up. And then I'll probably head to bed around 11 or 12. We might go, you know, about 10 o'clock, we'll probably head back to the campsite and hang out again by the back porch and listen to music by the fire.
Yeah.
Bring out his instrument and a few other guys.
And so the shifts are like, I don't know, let's say they're from 6 to midnight. So there's, sometimes you don't even see people. So there was a person that drove us here in a golf cart, and I haven't even seen her. And she's been here for a couple of days, but because of our shifts
are different.
We're literally camping we're camping, you know, 100 feet from each other, but we haven't seen her and her husband. It's because we all have these shifts. And so some people are getting off, they're getting off when another one's going on. And and some people are, you know, the current employees are all in uniform, and you know, they're ironing their uniform in this old maintenance shop, and they're, I forgot this, and they're helping each other. We're all helping each other look good and take care of each other. And I have this, I have to work, and okay, we'll feed the dog or whatever. You know, we all work together for this festival, because it's more than a festival. It's family.
Well, that leads me to another question, Kimberly supplied. And how the rest of your year, how does the folk festival, I guess, influence has it had any influence on your life outside of being here? That is.
I don't know.
I do know that the people in the community that are here that play, you know, a lot of people are from our neighborhood, from our same city. So we've been able to reconnect with them through the year. We go to their house for dinners, they come to ours, we'll meet up and eat out at a restaurant. So, and then they also have like house concerts, or, you know, come to the house and bring your instrument and, you know,
jam.
And so like 3 or 4 times a year we're going around to other people's places and having just the whole house full of music. The backyard flows over to little fire pits full of music. The front yard, little vignettes everywhere. Everybody's playing, and they're just like 3 or 4 people, and you just kind of move from place to place and play with them. And it's basically the same thing in the campground in the evening when all the music is done at the festival part. You go back into the campground, not just our campsite area, because ours is for the park people, but out where all the people are playing music, and it's just fun. You take your instrument and you go from site to site and you play with them, and it's like 12 or 18 people all hanging out, and then you just move on, and we know everybody. It's for all the years that we've been coming, and they always say, come play with us, you know, and it's always so much fun.
It's cool. And I think also, like, Rosie, you'll have something, you know, from the Cuban vendor and have a sandwich, or the Puerto Rican person who's doing something, and it's like, what is that spice? And then the next thing, you know, a couple of weeks later, she's cooking with that spice. You know, that's kind of neat. So I think it does carry on. I think we've been doing it for so long, we take it for granted.
Yeah.
How it has changed our life.
So we have this is a good question here, I think. What is your favorite Florida Folk Festival memory? Do you have one? Just really?
Well,
and this is kind of selfish, but I should say, my grandkids were with us. They were really small.
Yep, it's the one I'm thinking of.
And he was playing on the gazebo, and all of my grandkids all play instruments because we're a musical family, and so their grandfather asked him to come and play with him on stage. So they were in the background playing their instruments, and he's up front with his group of guys. But it was just great to see the generations, my husband and my grandkids sitting, you know, with the river behind them at the gazebo, and it was just. I can't remember how many years ago that was. It was many, but
yeah, it was the 60th, because what I did is that when I was done, and people were clapping and stuff, and I said I want to mark this day. I looked at the grandkids. You played the Florida Folk Festival at the 60th annual, and I wanted them to know that, you know. So that's, you know, it's been a while, right? 13 years, but they played at the Florida Folk Festival. Yeah, that's mine too. Yeah. So you see, that has little to do with music. It has everything to do with people. And my mom's in the audience, and my sister and brother and people, and, you know, friends and family.
It's really special.
It's pretty darn special.
Yeah. It's like almost sacred, holy ground. You know, you're there, and the people that played on that stage before you and the ones that are going to play after you, I mean, Will McLean, Roger Gamble. Gamble Rogers. I mean, there's just so many. Bobby Hicks. I mean, just
oh my gosh,
so many wonderful musicians, and their legacy continues. And to think that my grandchildren, you know, were there too. You know what I'm saying? It's just special.
Yesterday I was the MC at the gazebo, Frank and Ann Thomas gazebo. They both have passed. Okay, I'm opening up the gazebo. I'm introducing the first person at the gazebo named after Ann and Frank, who invited me to the festival the first time.
Yeah.
That it becomes a responsibility that I have, but wow, what an honor, right? How cool is that? They're not here.
It's really moving.
But they brought me there, and now I was just randomly assigned to MC that. I don't know, man. That's pretty cool.
It all ties together.
So the continuity, maybe, of the Florida Folk Festival. Are there any traditions, by the way, that you could think of? Is it like, I don't know.
Some we can't tell you. Yeah, I'm sure there's traditions. We're in our, so there's a big campground where everybody stays, and then when I was the director, I moved all of the employees to a separate spot because our shifts are so many and people are coming in and out, and not to disturb the campground. So we have our own little area, which actually works out really well, and stuff is stored there, and ice comes from there, and gasoline for the carts and stuff. So it's very utilitarian. It's not a campground. It's where we camp, but it's at the old maintenance area. So anyway, we like visiting each other's campers and rigs and tents because we're all park rangers, and so we're like, oh, that's a cool tent, and we go over there, and the next thing you know, they're like, so especially after the day, we may have an adult beverage, and you end up having a progressive adult beverage little thing, and we're going from tent to tent, and one year there's like 12 people in our camper, just standing there, because it's the first year that we got the one that we have. So I don't know, that's kind of neat. But I think just to continue it, the tradition, the main tradition is we all are here. We all are here to serve the Florida Folk Festival, so we can continue to provide these magical moments to others. That's the tradition for us.
Yeah.
Oh, and would that be how you might wish, what you would wish that everyone knew about the Florida Folk Festival? Is there some?
I'm glad no one knows what goes on behind the scenes, because it takes away some of the magic for them. They don't know how hard everybody's working, how we're fixing stuff, we're cutting, fixing, helping, ice, moving. So many things are happening behind the scenes, and no one knows.
Yeah,
and that's pretty cool.
Just some basic things like we have, make sure we have somebody here from fire rescue in case there's an emergency that way. You've got law enforcement people here, but it's nothing bold or, out in your face. It's all just, it's there if you need it, to make sure. We've got the people going around providing ice to all the vendors, and then making sure that, and it's just, the things that are going on behind the scenes, it's all park related, park staff, people, and, but it's, staying at the information booth, and then all the golf carts, they go around and pick up, people who have their instruments. It's hard to get from all the way from the campground all the way up to the Carillon Tower, so those people, the park people, get in their little golf carts, and it's all it's free to everybody. It's not, but if you want to make a donation that, helps to subsidize the cost for the gasoline, or, so, because we have to pay for the rentals of these and so on and so forth. So there's a lot of hidden expenses but these people are given their time to perform. So we have, the audience has something enjoyable. So, the audience, they hopefully, they're not always all volunteer people. There should be some paying people, and that's, but it's really a beautiful way. But I don't think a lot of the musicians realize how much work goes into it. But it's okay. And it's not supposed to be. It's supposed to be magical feeling.
Yeah, and just like a musician, when you're playing and they're hearing them for a half hour, because typical sets are a half hour. No one realizes the hours it took to get that half-hour set. Yeah. And it's the same thing. It's the presentation. There's a certain amount of, you got to cook in the kitchen to serve the cake. Yeah. And well,
takes time.
Takes time.
But nobody knows about that part. They don't think about it. They know it. It's just, it's not on their forefront of their mind. It's just like, well, this cake is delicious.
Yeah, and that's
the outcome is wonderful.
I think that's what we want.
And that's all that really matters, is the outcome is wonderful, and how everything got to that point is, like I said, it's kind of magical. Nobody really thinks about it. But hopefully the visitor is just like in awe of it. And it is. I mean, I know I would get on, when I'm sitting and watching, the amphitheater stage, Sunday night when they're doing their closing and their it's just like, you just have to feel there's so much, I want to say pride, because that's really the only thing you're just proud to be a part of this, to be able to see it, to witness it, to experience it. Gives me goosepimples. And, honoring our veterans, and it's amazing. Just all of that goes into it. It's just beautiful. Because that's, this weekend's about the veterans, and they do a wonderful job in doing that. So.
I think correct me if I'm wrong, but this is a free festival.
There is a price.
There is a price.
Yeah,
okay.
yeah. There's a, but I mean, it's so cheap.
Okay.
It's not.
I mean, I don't know what it is, but it's you can't get this anywhere.
But if you're volunteering, I think your time and service is what you're paying. So we didn't pay for our camping site,
Right, because we're volunteers, and so volunteers it's free. But if you do certain amount of hours, which is cool, but the regular visitor.
The regular visitor pays.
But you think of a festival like a music festival, a 3-day music festival that has all these huge bands. That's a lot of money.
Yeah.
But this isn't, and it's a family atmosphere. So
right.
No one's embarrassed to bring anybody here. It's really cool.
It is. It's wonderful.
It sounds pretty sappy, right? But
No, it really sounds like this is something everybody should know about.
yeah.
Yeah.
I just have a couple more questions, but it sounds like you're really focused on values that you might engender from coming to the festival. And your grandkids, now they're grown up or somewhat now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're in college or.
Yeah.
Yeah, they are.
Do you see any of the values that you hope passed on? Do you see that in your grandkids right now?
Yes.
100%. Actually, one of them's coming today.
Yeah, we have.
Because with schedules in college, so after work, he's not going to miss it.
He doesn't want to miss it, so he wants to come and camp and hang with the people.
Yeah.
That he's been coming years too. I mean, not every single year after year, but just periodically. And so he's made relationships with these people. They're park people, and he's a park kid. Coming from a park family, and he's got so it'll be like family reunion for him.
Yeah.
Coming into it.
And he has a certain, I think all of them do, a certain, not arrogance, but a certain sense of pride.
Yeah.
That I've been coming here a long time and have some ownership to it, healthy ownership, that I want to take care of it.
Yeah.
And I want to be, respectful or reverent. Because the reverent part is when I started playing, I was just asked to come here as a musician. Then I had something to do with it. I became the district manager in my job that had this park in it. So then, oh no, I'm now in charge of the festival that I love as a musician. And and then I became the director of the Florida Park Service. So over 175 parks. This is one park that happens to have the festival. And so I continue to come, and the director is playing music down at and some people look at that and go, what is that? I've been coming here way longer than I was, so.
It started as a park ranger.
There's, to me, being employed with the Florida Park Service and the festival and music, it's another day. It's just intertwined. There's no, weirdness about it. And so the kids, they like that, The kids can't wait to go up and get a root beer float. Vernon will have a root beer float by the evening.
Yes, maybe two.
Yeah, he knows what vendor to go to, and he loves crafts, so he'll stop by the craft place and talk to them. And then later this week, he'll be at the house, and he'll be doing a craft that he learned here. It happens every year.
It's fun.
It's pretty cool.
So, we didn't really get, for the record, in your professional life, you were a park ranger, but then you became the.
Yeah. So.
Can you describe that?
Yeah. So I started as a park ranger in 1983, and I I was blessed to hit every rung in the ladder on the way up, and became the director. And there's only one director, and the buck stops here, kind of thing. So. So I moved. We moved, I think, 17 times during my career, all in Florida. And so wherever we lived in Florida, we always came back, to the Florida Folk Festival. And as you travel through Florida, it's different. Every community that we've lived in, we lived on an island, only accessible by boat, coming to and from house every day, with a boat. Kids in school, and no benefits.
Not working.
Raining or whatever, but that's Florida. That's Florida to us. We lived on the beach. You can see the Atlantic Ocean on one side and see the Intercoastal on the other. We lived there. That's Florida. We lived deep in the woods, 5 miles from the ranger station, 5 miles from the highway, and just to get to the bus stop is 5 miles, all within a park. That's Florida to us. So it makes us proud when we come and we hear others singing or sharing crafts and dance and foodways that are about Florida, and that's all Florida. It's cool.
Yeah.
I just have like 2 more questions here. And speaking of that, you've been coming a long time, both of you. What do you think you might have any legacy? That your stamp that you left for the Florida Folk Festival. Is there anything you can think of?
I don't think I have anything. You're looking at me. You do. I think you do. I mean, I don't know. I just.
Well, we're constant, and people like visiting with us, and I think that's like she came a day late this year because she had to work. And it's like, where's Rosie? Everybody's asking, where's Rosie? And you think, Lee, that's pretty special. We don't see a lot of these people, but once a year, and they're asking where you're at, because you're Florida folk, you're Florida people, so they enjoy.
But we're a pair.
And then just with, I don't think musically, I certainly don't have any legacy on the music side, because I'm not in musicianship wise, I'm not a scale of 1 to 10. I'm not a 10, Lord knows.
But I think he is.
But I think where it comes in is, if there's a legacy, it's a legacy of operations. It's streamlined. It's providing service. It's being dedicated to it. Is this an unrelentless, goal of being a high quality performance, selecting great performers, getting good musicians, the sound people, the light people. Not everybody can mix sound, and so to get a good sound person that wants to come back and listens to us, that's cool. So I think, if any legacy that I'm leaving, it's a legacy of the behind the scenes, the operation of what we really have. We really are inclusive. And just continue the love and making sure, because it is unique. I mean, I'm a musician, but now I'm in charge of the stage. How many musicians get to be in charge of the stage, right? So I want to make sure the stage proper is right, and the music, the sound is right, and the lights are right, and I had the opportunity to do that because I was in charge. Whoops.
That's great. That's very important.
Yeah, so I think if anything, I never thought about it. That's probably it.
Yeah.
It's the little stuff that no one knows, and that's good. It's part of the magic.
Let's see, Sarah, do you have any questions you'd like to ask?
I don't know if it's necessarily on topic, but when you guys were talking about living in, was it 17 different places in Canada? That's crazy. Were you was it a big move every time, or do you have a favorite place you've lived in Florida?
Well, on the island was our worst place for us. It was fun for the first weekend, but then 2 years later, Rosie came to me and said,
Well, after the first run of groceries was a disaster, and I said we're going to have to do something about this, because the boat ran to go onto the island and back and forth from the mainland to the island once an hour. And so I planned my grocery trip to go and be back on that hour, and I missed the boat. It went 15 minutes early. And I'm on the mainland with ice cream and watermelon and, and of course, I didn't think about a cooler and all, it was like my first experience there. But so he fixed that for me. He got volunteers to run the boat on demand. So if you needed it, whatever side, you could go back and forth. So he had a boat captain, and which was really wonderful, and wonderful volunteers. As far as the park is concerned, the park had some great features, and the kids loved it.
Oh, it was great. We even had a horse out there.
Yeah,
and bringing hay and feed across. We were crazy at the time. We were young and crazy.
Yeah, but there's really you can't really say a favorite, because they're all, as he was a director, 175 different places, they're all like his children, and so they all have special needs and also have special qualities, gifts, So but when we decided wherever we wanted to move to retire, I said, I have to be able to have a large mass of land around me, because I've lived in state parks since 1983, and from state park to state park, and I'm like, that's my backyard. I want Florida land. So we were able to buy 20 acres, and we love it. We're making our own little mini state park where we live. So in our little.
But that's a good question, because it does take a toll on the family for my career, but then my career benefits the family. So, but every time there was an opportunity, we got the family together, all 5 of us, and we talked. And do you want to go do this? And we'd go check out the new park. And if everybody was a go, then we loaded up and it was always, a good move financially, because, moving up and making more money, and he learned more. And I think all those experiences led him to be able to, when he became the director, he had such a diverse understanding of all the different positions. So it's easier to manage when you know what to expect out of people, or what, Yeah, in the folk festival, if you think of the folk festival as like a church, okay, so you're a member of the church, and now you're in charge of the church.
Yeah.
It's pretty special.
It is, it's real special.
And it's overwhelming sometimes, because I know what needs to get done, and I can't do it. I can't afford it. I can't put any more funds to that, because we got other parks. But you do what you can for the church, and it's the honor of that. And that's kind of the behind the scenes thing that, not many people know. And good, come out here and enjoy yourself.
Right.
Because the park people are like a duck, they're calm and cool above surface, and their feet are paddling 100 miles an hour under it. And we're working it, baby.
Nobody sees that.
No one sees it. Come and have a good time.
Just enjoying the scenery.
Did it ever lose the magic for you when you had to take on more responsibility?
No, it just intensified the responsibility. Like I'm coming, and then when you show up and everybody knows you can change it, and I can't, because they don't know the politics or the financial or the whatever. You do the best you can, and I think if anything, you think, I hope these people don't stop. Hopefully they don't not respecting me, but I think they end up respecting me more, because we come back every year, whether it's fixed or not, whatever an issue may be, and we explain why, and everybody's cool with it. We play some music.
Yeah.
Well, I guess the last question I'll ask you, is there anything that you want to add that we didn't talk about? Is there anything?
Well, I just think that, he explained it a little bit. With musicians are a very unique group of people. They, obviously they have pride of ownership of their music and their talent, and they want to share it. So there's something great about that. And just the loving community that they are. You know, they all welcome you into their campsite, ask you to come play with them. They ask you to come play with them on the stage when they're on stage. We all cross over to each other. And, you know, it's whether you're playing blues music or jazz or, you know, the Florida folk music itself, you know. And I love the messages that they put in their songs. You know, they really do. They make you think about what's going to happen tomorrow. You know, if we keep, you know, tearing up the ground and cementing it in, you know, scraping it off and cementing it in, there's no place for the water to go back into the earth and penetrate and go into aquifers. And, you know, it's like we need green space, and Florida State Parks provide that. And this venue provides a good place for people who enjoy that culture to come and be a part of it. So
I can't say it better. Sounds like a park ranger's wife.
good thing I am.
Well, you've got a lot more stories, we know that.
Yes.
But for now, we'll just thank Rosie and Donna Forgione for their time and wonderful recounting of the Florida Folk Festival and what it means. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you for having us.